Today, we're going to conduct a forensic investigation, but not into a physical crime scene. We're going to investigate a psychological one. We're going to deconstruct the deliberate, repeatable systems that are designed to hijack our deepest emotions for one simple reason: financial gain.
So, here's our roadmap for this deep dive. First, we're going to pinpoint the real target of these attacks, and it's not what you think. Then, we'll break down the perpetrator's playbook stage by stage. We'll look at what is literally happening inside your brain during one of these events, and most importantly, we will build a solid defense protocol and wrap it all up with a single, powerful idea to keep you safe. I want you to just let that sink in for a second. This is the central paradox that we have to understand. You see, skilled manipulators, they're not really after your bank details. They are targeting something far more fundamental: your brain's emotional response system. They know with absolute certainty that if they can control how you feel, your rational decisions, and your money are going to follow right behind.
So what is this core vulnerability? Well, it's our most intense gut-level feelings. That sudden surge of fear you get for your family's safety, that jolt of excitement for what looks like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or that wave of empathy for someone who sounds like they're in desperate need. These powerful emotions, they're the entry points. They're like unlocked doors that allow a predator to just bypass all of our logical defenses.
And you know what? The data confirms this completely. A lot of us assume that greed is the main driver of fraud, but if you look at the data from the Federal Trade Commission, the costliest scams are actually rooted in empathy and loneliness, these so-called romance scams. After that comes scams that use fear, like impersonation scams, and only then do we see greed. The strategy is always the same: use a high-intensity emotional trigger to create a state of cognitive overload, basically a mental fog where clear thinking just becomes impossible.
Okay, so now let's look at how this vulnerability gets exploited in a formal process. Because this isn't random, it's a system. The attacker's playbook is a predictable 5-stage process that's designed to take literally anyone from a state of calm to coerced compliance. We are going to walk through it just like an analyst reviewing a case file.
And here's the official term for what's happening: the Affective Hijacking System. The two key words you really need to remember here are systematic and bypass. This is a deliberate, engineered event. The goal isn't to convince your rational mind, not at all. It's to trigger your emotional mind so powerfully that your rational mind is completely silenced. You can think of it as a neurobiological coup d'etat happening inside your own head.
So here are the 5 stages of the attack. It all starts with the pretext, that urgent, totally unexpected contact that's designed to give you a high emotion shock. You know, a call about a warrant for your arrest, or an email about some massive secret investment. Right after that comes grooming. This is where the attacker builds trust, and fast, by exploiting our mental shortcuts, our biases. They might claim to be from the government, using authority bias, or say an offer is only good for the next 10 minutes, using the scarcity principle.
And right here, this is the crucial moment. In these first few seconds, that emotional pretext can completely override the brain's logic filter. That little voice that says, this can't be right, gets totally drowned out by the feeling of, oh my God, I have to do something now. Once that switch is flipped, the attacker moves right into escalation. They unleash a storm of continuous verbal pressure, using complicated jargon or just rapidly shifting topics. This isn't about giving you information, it's about keeping you confused and overwhelmed.
And all of that leads right here to the psychological choke point: isolation. You'll be told, do not tell anyone about this. Not your spouse, not your bank, not your lawyer. This tactic is absolutely critical for them because it cuts you off from any external verification, from any voice of reason. Now you're all alone with the pressure and the fear they've created. And the final step is extraction. And here's where the manipulation flips. The payment isn't framed as a loss. It's framed as the single, easy solution to end the intense emotional distress they've manufactured. Sending the money feels like the only way to make the pressure just go away.
So why is this system so devastatingly effective? I mean, really, why does it work? To understand that, we need to look at the neurobiology of what's happening to your brain when it's under this kind of pressure.
Okay, think of your brain as having 2 key players. You've got the prefrontal cortex, let's call it the CEO, which is responsible for rational thought and planning. And then you have the amygdala, we'll call that the alarm, which scans for threats and triggers our fight or flight response. Now, normally they work together, but during an affective hijack, the attacker deliberately triggers the alarm with a huge jolt of fear or excitement. The amygdala floods your system with stress hormones, takes command, and basically silences the CEO. I mean, activity in the prefrontal cortex literally diminishes. Your rational brain goes offline.
This whole exploit is designed to trap you in your brain's fast, intuitive, emotional mode, what some call System 1 thinking. Now, this is great for quick decisions, but it's terrible for assessing complex risks. The entire scam, the urgency, the pressure, the secrecy, it's all built to prevent you from ever engaging your slow, deliberate, logical brain. Complying feels like the path of least resistance, not because it's logical, but because it feels like the fastest way to quiet that screaming alarm in your head.
Now, I know this all sounds pretty formidable, but the system has a fatal flaw. It requires your compliance. It requires you to stay inside that emotional loop they've created. So now we're going to shift from analysis to action. We're going to build a mandatory defense protocol to reclaim rational control every single time.
So, how do you break a system that's designed to short-circuit your own logic? Well, you don't fight it on an emotional level. You break the process itself with a pre-planned, non-negotiable set of actions.
The very first step is recognition. You have to train yourself to spot this pattern. Treat any communication that has this three-part combination as a high-risk event. Number 1, an intense, sudden emotion. Number 2, a strict artificial time limit. And number 3, a demand for an unusual action like buying gift cards or wiring money. When you see these 3 things together, that is your signal that an affective hijack is in progress.
Okay, once you recognize that pattern, you execute the mandatory defense protocol. And this is not a suggestion, it's a rule. Step 1, recognize the trigger pattern. Step 2, disconnect. This is the single most important physical action you can take. Hang up the phone, close the laptop. Don't say, let me think about it, just break the connection. That act terminates the verbal pressure and it breaks the isolation, giving your brain the space it needs to reboot. Step 3, enforce a mandatory pause of at least 1 hour, no exceptions. Time is the enemy of the hijacker. It lets your rational CEO come back online. Finally, step 4, verify, but only using a very specific method.
And this method is called out-of-band verification, and it is absolutely critical. It means you verify the information by contacting the institution using a phone number or a website that you find independently. Look on the back of your credit card, go to the official website that you type in yourself, or use a number you already have stored in your phone. You never, ever use a number or a link that was provided by the person who made the initial contact. This is how you ensure you're talking to the real institution, not back to the attacker.
All right, so we've deconstructed the system, we've examined the neurobiology, and we've built a defense protocol. Now let's distill all of this down into a core mindset, a protective mantra that you can carry with you.
This right here is the strategic insight that underpins your entire defense. A scammer can predict that a threat will make you feel fear. They know a sob story will make you feel empathy. That isn't a weakness on your part, it's just a feature of being human. Your feelings are predictable. That's their leverage. But your actions always, always remain in your control. That is your power.
And so we end with this. This is the new rule for manufactured pressure. The moment a financial decision suddenly feels intensely urgent, that is your signal not to act, but to stop. You must enforce a pause. Your logical brain, your CEO, it requires time to function, and your safety, it requires a decisive, immediate disconnect. Urgency is the trigger, the pause is the shield, and the disconnect is your safety.